What's going on? Brian Carroll here at PowerX Strength HQ, located in beautiful Jacksonville, Florida. You may know me from my powerlifting history and being the first person to squat over 1,300 pounds and my work with Dr. McGill. But for those who don't know, I'm also a McGill certified practitioner. McGill practitioners are well versed in client history intake, back pain assessment, and exercise progressions to beat back pain. From those not back injured who want to take their lifting to the next level, to the client scheduled for back surgery who wants experience from someone who's been there. Here at PRS HQ in North Jacksonville, Florida, I have 2,000 square foot plus with every machine, implement, bar, and tool that you could possibly need, and have 30 years of strength training experience to boot. I conduct virtual and in-person consultations for lifting and see a wide variety of people on a broad age scale dealing with back pain or back injury, from powerlifters to pro ball players to your average weekend warrior. Check out my YouTube channel, Brian Carroll 1306, for content covering all things back injury, recovery, strength training, and everything in between. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss when we post and so you don't miss when we go live. Yes, every Friday I am live on YouTube, Instagram, X, and Facebook answering your back pain and strength-related questions. Hit that bell to ensure you don't miss the opportunity to get your questions answered. In addition to assessing and training people and putting out content, we have an extensive inventory of products to help you get back to living your best pain-free life. From PRS brand CBD to books and back supports, going along with weekly articles and blogs to help you navigate your training with cutting-edge science and training strategy proven to work. For all information on booking, products, and all things Brian Carroll, please visit powerxstrength.com. What's going on? Brian Carroll here, powerxstrength.com HQ, coming to you from beautiful Jacksonville, Florida. Happy Friday, happy springtime. Hope everyone's doing well out there. And today I'm going to hang out for a bit on these different platforms, on YouTube, on Instagram, on X, on Facebook, answering your questions to the best of my ability about all things strength training, thoracic back pain, lumbar back pain, SI joint pain, squatting, bench pressing, deadlifting, lifting, core training. I'm going to do the very best that I can. So, when we get back into the normal flow of doing lives every week, is to submit your questions to me on Instagram, Brian Carroll 1306. We post up stories, make posts, drop your questions in the DMs and the replies to the stories, and I will do my best to answer your question. For all things Brian Carroll 1306, please go to powerxstrength.com. All things Brian Carroll, PowerX Strength, Gift of Injury, 1020 Life. You can get Back Mechanic. You can get 1020 Life. You can get Gift of Injury. You can get Ultimate Back Fitness and Performance, all from powerxstrength.com. So today we're talking about a few different things that you guys have sent in about back pain and strength training. I've got a few things that I'm going to talk about recovery and recovery modalities. And we're going to have a little bit of fun today. And then pretty soon, I'm going to get back to doing these regular live streams on Friday afternoons. But to be honest with you, I've been too inundated with clients and busy with twin near 5-year-olds, and I have not had the time to do these live streams. But I will do them when I can, and we'll announce them the best I can prior. But here we are once again, and maybe we'll continue on to next week. So we got a couple questions already that have come in about working with special forces, building out their training programs. Do I have ways for people to build out their own training programs that aren't back injured? What's the best way to rehab a back injury? All these different types of questions are already coming in. So drop them in the chat. If you've not liked this video on YouTube, please like it, subscribe to Brian Carroll 1306 on YouTube, please. Share this video. Check out some of the work that we've been doing over the past few weeks. Did a tribute to my buddy Andrew Locke that passed away a couple of months ago now. It's crazy to say. It's been almost a couple of months, but a few thoughts about Andrew, one of my good friends. We did a final podcast together in December, and had a great time. So we have 2 podcasts. If you check the link to our podcast section on YouTube, Brian Carroll 1306, you'll see a conversation I had with Locke in August of 2023. And then the most recent and last one that I had in December 2024, published a little while ago, earlier this year. But uh, love the dude, miss the dude. But hey, what a great guy, and uh, what a legacy that guy leaves behind. And looking forward to getting to know his daughter and meet her at some point and catch up with her. So we've done quite a few new videos lately. Last week, you saw the first part of the Lane Norton series. This was filmed 7 years ago. Okay. 7 years ago, people were sending me videos of Lane Norton on his back, crying in the airport, multiple stories. And I'd never met Lane before. I didn't know him, never interacted with him. And after so many people sent me these stories, like this guy's crying out for help, literally and figuratively, I reached out to him, and he ended up emailing me, and we did a virtual or video consultation. I got him going in the right direction. He was winding down his pain, doing the big three, doing walking, those types of things. Then eventually we did a meetup where Lane came to my house after he sought me out for back consulting. And I said, Stu, let's do an assessment with Lane. Lane was all about it. I was all about it. And so Stu did his assessment. I helped with the assessment. I did the lift coaching. Stu helped with the lift coaching. I put together the program for him and worked with him. And as you can see in part two that dropped yesterday, us working through fine tuning his folded over squat and his folded over deadlifts and such. And you can see that there's a lot of things that Lane realized that he was doing wrong during this process that we helped correct, as we were the ones that consulted him for his back rebuild. And I ended up working with him for about a total of 6 months or so. And part three, that's going to drop. When is that going to drop, Bristol? Next Thursday, part three drops, where we talk about a little bit of entanglement that may have happened there and why we parted ways, and a little bit of behind the scenes information there about working with Lane and getting pain free and back to lift, and his powerlifting coach. So make sure you check that out next Thursday. Now, earlier this week, we dropped part two on Thursday. Yesterday, we dropped part two of me and Stu working Lane at Team Samson. And tomorrow, the video is, are both split squats bad for the back? Are they bad for the back pain person? Will they destroy your SI joints? Will they destroy your knees? Well, are they worth it? Here's my take. I break down the split squat, the different variations, and I tell you, for some people it's great. Other people, it might piss off their SI joint. Pelvis mutating over and over and twisting can cause laxity and arthritis, inflammation, and different things of that nature. Other people, they can do them forever. Fine. That video drops tomorrow at what time? 12? 12 a.m. drops. And then products right now. Video hands for back mechanics on sale for $44.95. On Amazon, $44.95. On PowerX.com, get it right now. We'll ship it out to you today. On sale for $44.95. It's originally like $70 or $75. This is Back Mechanic with McGill walking you through the entire back mechanic process. It is priceless. It's actually not priceless. It's $44.95. But it's very helpful information while we have supply. They're going like crazy. People are realizing this deal is just irresistible. Also, for those of you sitting down right now and you're having discomfort, you have back pain, don't go and buy a new chair. We have Embrace inline chair support products. This is for the seat pan for you to sit in. I have one I'm sitting on right now. And then we have for sleep, we have the prop air that you can tie around your waist. So whether you're a back sleeper, you put it underneath the small of your back, on the side, you put it here on your oblique, near your hip, and for some people, this will save you thousands of dollars from having to buy a new mattress, because if your mattress is too soft or too hard, depending on the spine type that you have, the body type that you have, the injury that you have, if you don't tolerate lateral shear, this can be a game changer for 40 freaking dollars. Don't go and buy a $2,500 king mattress right away. Try a lumbar product. Try the Prop Air for sleep. And then the good old trusty Lumbear that I have here. This is what I keep in my truck, I travel with. I have, 2 of these in my truck at all times. If you've ridden with me, you know I always have one in the spare for the passenger, especially if they're the client, but this is the Lumbear. This is what I recommend every person have in their vehicle. Every person. You can get these on powerxstrength.com, and here's the difference between these products. Not only are they designed by Professor Stuart McGill, they're dynamic. Don't get the big fat McKinsey roll up that you can't adjust. It might put you into too much extension, um, and it may not be helpful. It might actually hurt your back. So you each time you let the air out. You start with a clean slate. Depending on the time of the day, you give it a couple of pumps, or you let a little bit of air out. Make sitting dynamic. That's one of the biggest reasons why I see people for back pain. They sit in one position all day. As you can see here, I'm pumping up my Embrace Air Deluxe back here. This is the Cadillac version. How cool would it be if I just fell out of the chair as I was doing that? That would be so cool. Just fell and just ate it. And the tens of people all over the world see it. The single people, dozen people all over the world. But this is the Embrace Air Deluxe, and as you can see, it's adjustable. So I'm making sitting dynamic. One of the biggest reasons why I see professionals, entrepreneurs, CrossFitters, people that like to lift but have desk jobs, they get a disc bulge because they sit all day, they're not dynamic, and their disc takes on a certain type of shape with the hydraulic pressure sitting down for a long time. Then they go out and immediately lift. That's not what you wanna do. You wanna have time where you let your spine decompress a little bit, and then stiffen the core, then go lift, but never go right from sitting 8 hours a day right to loading a heavy squat, because that's the recipe for injury. It's not just the sitting alone, it's what you combine with the sitting and with the lifting. It's everything cumulatively with, the back when we talk about sitting. So make sitting dynamic. Stand up every 45 minutes or so. Put your arms over your head, do a body weight squat. I'm literally giving you the key to making sitting dynamic. So if sitting causes you pain or stiffness or symptoms, get yourself the Embrace Air products, the Lumbear, the Prop Air, the inline seating, and don't go right for the bougie chair. We have um, a nice chair, an Evo, Evo Lab, Secret Lab. Great chair. It's over in my office, actually. I didn't have time to grab it, but the Secret Lab chair is amazing, but not everyone can drop the $600 on that, or the $550 that you use our discount on BackFit Pro. You can save about 10% and get you a nice Secret Lab Titan Evo chair. It's an amazing chair, but not everyone can afford that, especially right now in the economy. Instead, opt for the Prop Air, the Lumbear, the Embrace Air Deluxe, or the inline seating, and make sitting dynamic in your car, in your desk chair, on your couch. Some people can't sit because the slouching in the couch causes them pain. This could be your remedy to be able to watch Netflix once again with your family. Even though you might look a little goofy, you won't feel goofy, and that's the key. Your back won't feel goofy, at least. So we're taking on questions. The best way to get your questions answered is to drop them in Instagram, Brian Carroll 1306, ahead of time. But in the live chats on Brian Carroll 1306, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, X, drop them in. They'll be given to me as I can get to them, because I already have a stack of questions and things that I'm talking about now. And so feel free to bring those questions to me. I'll do my very best to answer them. And if not, Some of you are going to need a consultation. Now, I offer consultations virtually and in person for lifting, for injured resilience, for back pain. I do McGill assessments as well here in person, 3-hour assessments. And we also have a new service that we do new custom training programs, new custom training programs that basically we do an intake form. I understand your goals, your weak points. So we take videos from you, and then I create a custom training template for you, 10 weeks, 20 weeks a year for powerlifting, strength training, weightlifting, injury resilience. I do all those different things. People that want to lose weight, just want to train. So make sure you check out that on powerextra.com. So today we're taking questions, but I wanted to talk a little bit about recovery methods. So let's just say recovery methods from the barbell. What actually promotes recovery and adaptation versus what just feels good? When I say feels good, an analgesic effect, like taking some ibuprofen takes the edge off. The ice will take some edge off. Taking a Norco will take the edge off versus actually allowing for healing and adaptation. So before we dig into specifics of recovery modalities and some of my thoughts on these, keep in mind that I have a history of working as a massage therapist for 10 years. Did a lot of different types of body work. I worked with cups, I worked with washing tools, I worked with T-bars. I don't know if they still use those anymore, different instruments. A lot of deep stripping work, neuromuscular therapy. Um, it's worth addressing the elephant in the room. Overtraining really is a thing, and if you train too hard and you can't recover from it, then no matter how much recovery work that you're doing and you're training too hard, it's never going to catch up and you're going to get injured and you're going to get run down. So there is such thing as true overtraining where performance systematically declines due to chronic workload and systemic breakdown. But it's kind of rare for it to be full on central nervous system overtraining. What's more common is under recovery, is what I'm going to talk about. Lifters push hard, athletes push hard, but they fail to support their training with adequate sleep, nutrition, deloading, and intelligent recovery work. I'm going to talk about some of that recovery work. Stan Efferding, one of my friends, the author of The Vertical Diet, he has a lot of good sayings. The guy's a genius, meathead genius. He's good at everything he does. He says compliance is the science, and it's about following a sustainable approach to being compliant to your diet, being compliant and not just jumping from diet to the next thing to the next thing to the next thing. He also uses the phrase, don't step over dollar bills to pick up quarters. Let me give you an example of that. There's these different things going around right now. This really good looking light skinned black guy is talking about his morning routine. Everyone's saying this guy's morning routine, he's the next David Goggins. By the way, people that talk about David Goggins, I know people that have consulted David Goggins, and the dude is a disaster. He's all mentally tough, but his body's in shambles. He claims that he needs 3 hours a day to get ready to start the day because he does a bunch of bendy, twisty stuff, and he gets a bit of a stretch receptor, um, Golgi tendon reflex, where he feels better for a little bit as the stretch receptor, a little bit of a jolly, and he feels better in these different mobility and stretching routines. But I'm not going to get off on this tangent just yet. Back to the handsome, light-skinned black guy that everyone's talking about right now with his morning routine. People that get up early that think that they're doing some kind of a magical morning routine by beating everyone up, their feet on the ground first. Sometimes staying in and sleeping in for 2 or 3 more hours until 6 or 7 AM is gonna be considerably better than you going and getting that stupid workout that's gonna beat you up, or that road run that, can be completely unnecessary, and you're better off sleeping in. That would be an idea. or an example, actually, of stepping over dollar bills to collect to pick up a quarter, getting up super early and not getting adequate rest, REM sleep, recovery, all those things. So lifters push hard, but they fail to support their training with adequate sleep. Number 1, nutrition, appropriate nutrition. Are you trying to be a bodybuilder, a power lifter, gymnast, marathon runner, what are you trying to do? Proper nutrition for a sumo wrestler is gonna be different than for a ballerina. So that's where we have to understand, number 1, what is the goal? What is the goal of the athlete? What is the goal of the athlete? Um, yeah, I think someone really famous was just trying to call me, and I just had to decline it. It's pretty cool. What's the Look up for me, what's the 315 area code? Anyway, just normal stuff here at powerxstrength.com, just, like, don't mind it, you know? You know we're live and we're real. Where's 315? New York. Okay, okay. Alright, that's probably him. Anyway, I'm here for you guys, and we're talking about overtraining. So before we dig into specifics, lifters push hard, they fail to support their training with adequate sleep, nutrition, deloading, having every 3 or 4 weeks where you back off, you cut down on intensity, on volume, on frequency, and you coast and you work more intelligently. And you incorporate smart, helpful recovery work. When athletes feel stuck in pain or they plateaued, back injury or whatever else, it's typically often a recovery issue, inflammation issue, an overuse issue, not a training volume issue. So this little rant that I'm doing right now is designed to help understand and apply some recovery methods, support actual adaptation, not just temporary jollies and feel good relief, which can be useful, especially if you're in severe pain. I'm not discounting that. I'm not going to get into overtraining too much and the different types, but in the world of strength sports, particularly when it comes to building a world class lift, recovery isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity. But with the surge of trends, gadgets, and social media like cold plunges and media influencers, cryo chambers, vibrating massage guns, we need to ask a critical question. What actually promotes true recovery and adaptation? That's what we're looking for. Or or what simply feels good without moving the needle. Okay. Recovery is breaking down into two key domains, in my opinion, giving you off the top. Just a few things I'm going to give you and get to your questions. Physiological recovery and adaptation, important. The restoration of the nervous system, the integrity of it, reduction of muscle inflammation and damage, tissue damage, inflammation and recovery, normalization of hormone levels, cortisol, estrogen, testosterone, and support of tissue remodeling, stimuli and backing off and adapting. We talk about here once again on sale 44.95, the video enhanced version of Back Mechanic, walking you through step by step the Back Mechanic with Stuart McGill. We have that on sale. But as we walk you through in actually Gift of Injury, we talk about tissue remodeling and how we remodeled my sacrum. If we turn to page, I don't know, I think it's page 41, we see, oh yeah, we see a before and after of my back here. Before and after, McGill, that MR was taken in February of 2013. The second MR was taken in July of 2017 when I'd already been back to lifting for about 3.5 years, 2.5 years, and I'd already taken over 50 squats over 1,000 pounds in training, in meets, as the disc remodeled, as that sacrum filled in, as those end plates calloused stiffened up, you can see the difference there. So people ask about, what's the picture and gift of injury? That's what you get. Um, I'm not gonna show you more than that. Grab the book, we'll give you the QR code. But this book takes the tenet of back mechanic and gives you real world psychology, physiology, and putting it all in to my story of rebuilding to being the first person to squat over 1,300 pounds. But it takes back mechanics, things that I learned from McGill, and meshed them with my real world in the trenches, actual training protocols, and, that's how we came up with Gift of Injury, how we wrote that. Now my training book is called 10/20 Life, and this is the way you learn to build your own program, be your own coach, and, flesh out your assistance work, your core work, all those different things. You have the lifting cues, you have how to build your own program, we have, pretty much everything you need to know about strength training in this book. And at some point, I'm gonna update this to a 3rd and final edition. This is the 2nd edition, and, I'm kinda feeling generous today. I'm gonna give away a couple 10/20 Life books for people that hang out on this live stream. And Bristol, you're gonna have to remind me to make sure I follow through with that. And, I might even give away a couple, Tic Tacs too in the package there too, and, as a added bonus. Um, Physiological recovery and adaptation, normalization of hormone levels, and support tissue remodeling. Gift of Injury is about remodeling bone and rebuilding the end plate in the vertebral body. Psychological and perceptual recovery. That's the difference. Physiological, psychological. This is how recovered you feel. Feelings aren't real always. It's a perception. It's influenced by relaxation, stress reduction, but it's subjective. Subjective feelings of readiness. Some people think that they're ready to get under the bar, and they're completely not. They think they got this project handled, and they don't. They think they're gonna whoop this person's ass, and they are not ready. They're subjectively ready, but they're truly not. So, this domain often makes things feel productive even when they think, even when they may not contribute much to true physical recovery. Let me give you an example of that. Massage therapy, I went to school in the early 2000s. If you look over PubMed, you dig into the hard science on massage therapy, there's not gonna be a ton of evidence that shows how much tissue changes under a Swedish massage, a deep tissue massage, all these different things. But I know firsthand, because at times I've gotten 2 or 3 massages a week prepping for meets, that simply the human touch does something to relax you. Fascia can be influenced with tools and pressure and such. So even if something like massage therapy isn't really moving the needle from a physiological standpoint that's measurable, let's say range of motion or tissue tautness or muscular tension, sometimes simply relaxing the brain and you having a state of relaxation will have a ripple effect and allow you to cool down and the muscles will relax. So there's something to be said by simply having your head rubbed, your scalp massage, or your face massage, or your back massage, or your feet massage. So it isn't always just about a gua sha tool or Graston or terribly deep art therapy that like feels like they're ripping you apart or crazy traction. Sometimes it's just got a little bit of an influence to stimulate a little bit of, rest and recovery. It might aid in your sleep and relaxation. There's a bunch of different ways to look at these different things. A popular one now is a cold plunge or a polar bath. Cold therapy is growing in popularity, especially with the rise of Wim Hof. I'll be honest with you, I'm not really sure what to think about that dude. He's got these viral ice videos, which is cool. I've used cold plunges, I've experimented with them. We did this back in massage therapy school with our cryo freeze. I'm sorry, with our cryotherapy semester, and it's hell sticking your foot in a bucket of ice up to your knee, your leg. It is absolute hell. The good with these, they can blunt inflammation and promote mood and mental clarity. It can carve mental toughness grooves in your brain, where you can become more mentally tough and more focused, particularly when used in short bursts. They may have a role in managing systemic inflammation and encouraging parasympathetic system, nervous system activation. Not so good when used chronically or immediately post training. Keep in mind, my opinion, cold exposure can dampen the very inflammatory that drives hypertrophy, inflammation that leads to strength, adaptation, hypertrophy, and recovery. If you're in a hard gaining phase or peaking, this may hurt more than it helps. So don't not talking about literally, but figuratively. Okay. My take, cold plunges feel incredible for mental sharpening for you crazy people that like doing it. It's not my thing. I would never do it right after a heavy lift. They're best saved for off days or general recovery purposes. The problem is sometimes when people are sitting in the position of this cold barrel or plunge, it's literally the position that causes their back pain, and they go into spasm and have back pain just because they're sitting in an awkward position, further stiffening up their muscles, and they end up going into severe back spasms over this. So it isn't just get in the barrel or get in the ice bath and everything's gonna magically heal. So, they can be helpful. But in my opinion, the best way to do a cold plunge is to contrast it like you see the Dagestanis do, swimming in a frozen stream or a creek, submersing themselves in the ice cold water, then going right into a steam room at 100 and whatever, degrees that they have it, Fahrenheit, not Celsius. I don't know what they have it in Celsius. This contrast can promote vasodilation and constriction in cycles, enhancing circulation, aiding muscle recovery. When timed well and used strategically, heat cold contrast has been proven for decades to be a powerful tool in your recovery, you know, arsenal. Here's a note on ice and NSAIDs. Now, my friend Jordan up in Canada did his thesis on inflammation, tissues, and NSAIDs and ice. And I can't believe it, but I'm blanking out on Jordan's name. He's such a handsome dude, and he's, a good friend, and, I'm gonna be upset. Jordan, I gotta give him credit. Good. Do it. Michael Jordan, you're taking over. Freaking taking over. Gosh, dang it. Jordan. I'm gonna give him credit, guys. I'm sorry, but, I'm gonna give him credit. Jordan. Jordan. I'm gonna give it 5 more seconds, and then I'm gonna report. I'm gonna get mad about this. He's from Calgary area. Jordan, he's a brilliant, coach, PhD, works with a lot of skiers up there. He did his thesis on, rat tissue recovery, with NSAIDs and ice, and so basically, ice and NSAIDs great for an analgesic, but it slowly, can inhibit and retard. Am I even allowed to say the proper use of the word retard? Even if it's the second definition in the dictionary if you look. Retard means to stop or to make, wrong or incorrect or backwards. It can slow down your natural ability to heal. So it stagnates the natural inflammatory, process when you ice and when you take NSAIDs. So you might be working against yourself at times. So, that's just a short version. Both are great analgesics, but it can prevent the body's ability to create necessary inflammatory process for healing. Inflammation, when controlled, is a critical part of the healing and adaptation process. Stimulate, recover, heal. It signals tissue repair, mobilizes immune response, and the driver for the remodeling process. Ice and NSAIDs can mute this process. So, yes, they can make you feel better, great for an acute injury, but not something you wanna do all the time. The first 24, 48 hours for NSAIDs and ice, great. Um, your call on what you wanna do with that, going forward. So if you look at Bristol, if you look at the Fats Fem, 2018, NFL talk that I did with Stu McGill, he's on the list there as a speaker. I just wanna give him credit for saying Jordan. Really, in my opinion, you should do heat before training and cold after you train. Now, I know I said I wouldn't go jump in an ice bath, but if you're gonna do it cold, I would do it after training, not before you train. Use some heat. We have heat wave and cryo freeze here. Use the heat wave to drive to the gym, put some on the shoulders, the pecs, the psoas, the hip flexors, and you're actually heating up with our, camphor and our Tiger Balm-like formula with CBD on the way to the gym, and on the way home, you can put it on your cranky shoulders, our cryo freeze, and, feel better on the way home and start your recovery without blunting the natural inflammatory response by just dumping yourself in an ice bucket. CBD is shown to reduce inflammation, and, there's so much anecdotal evidence from the dozens and dozens of reviews that we have on our site, rxdrinkcbd.com, where we have gummies, we have peach rings, we have gummy bears, gummy worms, watermelon slices, um, apple rings, we have sublingual drops and cinnamon, strawberry, and natural, and then we have balms in lavender, sage, lemongrass, and natural. Use code YT1306 and save 20% off. 20% off your order. And I believe we even have a deal if you spend are we still doing you spend 150 bucks on rxdrinkcbd.com, you get free shipping. You can't beat that, especially when shipping, rates right now are out of control. They're out of control. Sauna. I think sauna is a great recovery tool, especially when you contrast it with some colds, okay? Foam rolling. Foam rolling can be helpful for recovery. I do not suggest you do a bunch of foam rolling before you train. I don't ever suggest that you foam roll your lower back, especially before you train, loosening up these different segments, creating shear forces, rolling and loosening up something, especially if you're strength training, especially if you have back pain, and simply sensitizing it, loosening it, and then going to expect it to bear load is a little bit, misled, in my opinion. It's something that I used to do, but rolling the lats, like post training, the IT bands, those types of things can be, great. Um, rolling the quads, I love the foam roll my quads, like post training if I'm watching TV, playing with my girls, we'll all foam roll together on the ground and do that kinda stuff. But I think that, the best recovery tool is a tool that you're gonna use and that you think works for you, as long as it truly is objectively, looking at the numbers and having other people in your corner, confirm that it's actually working for you and not you just being delusional. That's why it's good for you to have a good group of people surrounding you, regardless of if you're recovering from a back injury or you're an athlete or, some people have full teams of they'll have their stretch person, their strength person, their swing coach, their strength and conditioning person, their nutritionist. They have all these different teams. You gotta surround yourself with good teams that aren't gonna have conflicting goals, and you have to have a unified approach. Otherwise, it's gonna be a disaster, and I've seen some of these teams, some of these, A-listers and pro athletes that have so many people around them giving them mixed messages. It's impossible to get through to them that, this person they're working with who's famous and has a big name is destroying their career. But at the end of the day, massages are great. I never recommend getting a massage before you train heavy. Get them done after you train or on your days off. Now, the sports massage, a stimulating massage that will wake you up, like some tapotement, some, you're gonna laugh at this word, but it's called jostling, a little bit of jostling and stimulating and that kinda stuff, a little bit of this be very helpful, and it's called, we call it sports massage. That can be very helpful to help warm up tissue and keep you warm before you go and make another lift or go for another run or whatever it may be. Not relaxing massage where it puts you in a state where you're chilled. You don't wanna be that. You wanna be alert, aggressive, and ready, not relaxed and comfortable. The worst things I've seen is sometimes people come off of the table, getting a massage, then come over and try to squat heavy, and their body's turned off, their mind's turned off, they're coasting, and they're not gonna have a good session, they're likely to actually get hurt. I've done it before. So it's important to space your recovery days away from your biggest training days. Have a couple days before, a couple of days after, maybe a day after, preferably sometimes the day after, depending on your needs. Chiropractic, you know my thoughts on that. We've done full videos on chiropractic. If they're trying to sell you on a plan that I need to see you for the next 8 to 12 weeks, not good. If they don't do an assessment with you and go over your MRs or whatever may be going on with you, get out of there. If they, um don't give you homework to do and things to do to work on your posture, your exercises, get rid of them. But sometimes adjustment to the thoracic spine or ribs or hips, can immediately help someone. But at the end of the day, if you're just getting the big 7, your wrists, your elbows, your shoulders, your C-spine, your thoracic spine, your lumbar, your hips, your ankles, your knees cracked, you're just going there for a feel-good analgesic and you're, giving your money. They gladly take it. Dry needling can be intense, can be helpful. Cupping the same way, I think cupping can have some helpful influence on posture and doing some, different types of posture release when used properly and moving them around. So anyway, the bottom line is you don't need to use every recovery method out there. You need rest, you need nutrition. Instead, pick a few that promote healing and real adaptation, help you move and feel better, help you perform better and fit into your schedule and your budget. We all have different schedules, different budgets. Use what works, give it time. Don't just try it once and ditch it unless it's really hurting you. Ditch what doesn't work. Just don't confuse with feeling good with getting better. Pain-free does not mean healed. That's a running theme here at Brian Carroll 1306, YouTube, powerxstrength.com. Pain-free does not mean healed. It means on the way to hopefully heal. So the best recovery plan is the one that supports your ability to train hard, stay pain or injury free or minimal pain and injury. We all are dealing with something. If you're a top athlete out there, a top lifter, or going after something that's the ultimate, the tip of the spear, everyone's dealing with some type of an injury of some sort. They're managing it or just coming out of one or about to go into one. So make sure long-term progress, is your goal, whether it's under the bar, on the field, or whatever. So, to give you a classic example of when feeling good can mislead you. Classic example of this is when a stretch triggers the Golgi tendon organ reflex. I've talked about this a few different times. This is a protective mechanism built into our neuromuscular system. Golgi tendon organs are sensory receptors located at the junction of the muscle and the tendon. Job is to detect excessive tension in the muscle and protect it from tearing or injury. It's supposed to prevent it. It's a fail-safe. When they sense too much tension, they send a signal to the cord, the spinal cord. They send a signal to this cord, this informational superhighway that connects to your brain, and they sense too much tension. They send a signal to the cord that tells the muscle to relax. Remember, all the muscles and tissues are innervated by the cord. Every tissue is innervated. Every tissue, muscles, bone, ligaments, vertebra, they're all innervated. They all get blood supply. They all get signal. This is known as uh, autogenic inhibition when it tells the muscle to relax. It can feel great in the moment. You stretch a muscle hard, it suddenly relaxes, maybe in your back, and then you get that satisfying feeling of a release or maybe a pop. But don't be fooled, that relaxation is often short-lived. And a stretch, if it's aggressive, it could lead to something tightening up way more in getting a rebound of overcompensation with the muscles getting guarded. An example of that is someone going over with a tight back, disc herniation. They do a few reverse hypers, they feel better, their back's loosened up, and then 15 to 20 minutes later, it's tighter than ever before. The bottom line is don't chase the stretch reflex for the spine or anywhere else. Focus on long-term motor control, tune mobility and stability, not just what feels good at the moment. Picking a scab, feels good at the moment. So, those are my thoughts on, manipulation and massage and recovery. Um, NSAIDs have their place. Voltaren can be a very helpful anti-inflammatory for some people, but the safest anti-inflammatory, in my opinion, that I use are our CBD products, both topical and, oral forms and sublingual drops, and our gummies that are absolutely amazing. So, um, remember, it's about what works for you, not what the latest trend on YouTube is to get up on 4 o'clock, get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, forego sleep, go for a run, do all this crazy stuff when you could just be sleeping, get up, eat a good breakfast, train hard once, and then go about your day as a normal person and make the same gains as the maniac that's training 3 times a day and getting 4 hours of sleep. Don't step over a dollar bill to pick up a quarter, in the words of the great, legendary King Stan Efferding, the strongest bodybuilder of all, undeniably the strongest bodybuilder, the strongest bodybuilder of all. First name is Jordan. Yeah. Brian, I know you do a lot of work with back pain, military, special forces. Do you have any plans with coming out with a training book similar to 1020 in Life, geared towards personnel or candidates looking to go into Ranger School or Buds or Selection or whatever it may be? I don't have, any plans of coming out with a book because there are too many variables. I work one-on-one with people. I create custom training programs. So the best way for you to do this would be either book a consultation with me, come for an in-person injury resilience assessment or coaching assessment for you, or our new custom service plans that we have. We build you out a program and we can make you an SOF or prepare for the Q course or selection or buds. And I'm not some like military expert. I'm not saying that I am the guy to go to get you ready for buds or for selection. I am the go-to guy for people that are back injured or people that wanna train or ranger school in ways that are gonna give them the best chance of not re-blowing out their back. And one of the keys is not replicating the course's demands too much. Don't ruck every day 15 miles with 120 pounds on your back. You're gonna have to do this sometimes, I get it. Don't do 70 sit-ups in 1 minute every day. Don't do max pull-ups every day. Don't do max med ball throws. Don't max all the time on a trap bar deadlift. All these different things, there's ways to train like a stir the pot to build capacity to do sit-ups without fail every time my berets or my SEAL, when it's time to test again after backing off the sit-up and doing things like, back extension holds, suitcase carries, um, stir the pot, these types of things. Their sit-ups don't suffer at all, and they don't have the back pain, and they match or beat their number without beating themselves to death with sit-ups over and over. So, next question. Something that someone who isn't back pain can use as a guide to build training plans accordingly. What is something that someone who isn't back pain can use? Yes, 20 life. Starting off with this book right here. I'm gonna give away a couple of these by the end of the live stream. This book tailors your training and tells you how to build your own program. But if you want a custom program with me, you can drop the QR code and go to poweractstrength.com, and I can help build you out a program and give you some thoughts on how much rucking, how much carrying you should do, how to build up push-up capacity and axial load tolerance and endurance strength and core strength and all those different things, and I will do my very best to help you. But, we got a few, berets and such on the website that have their testimonials up where they were really jacked up. A couple of them actually got hurt in selection. We got them ready for the Q course in a short amount of time, but they push you on purpose because, you guys are the most capable people in the world, so they push you, but that doesn't mean you have to train all the way like that at all times. You gotta choose the times, to push and choose the times when to pull back. So recovery for someone like this, it's trying to go to buds, trying to go to selection. Recovery for you, especially when you're not in yet, is gonna be huge, so you come in as 100% as possible. Now, I had a situation a couple years ago where a UFC fighter of mine got hurt. He tweaked his back a month before a fight in his hometown, and so I said, "You have a choice. We can back off the training, you come in a little under conditioned, but your back be in better shape, or you risk it, you keep training hard, you come in good shape, but your back goes out." So we met in the middle. He came in not in his best shape, but his back didn't bother him for the fight, and that was key. So you gotta know when to push, when to pull back, and you can't always have it all. So training plans correctly, 10-20 alive, or have a custom program built by me by submitting a form on powerxstrength.com. Brian, did you ever suffer from facet joint pain personally? My facet joints were damaged, but my sacrum, as I was showing earlier, was the most damaged, and my flattened disc at L4 and L5 were pretty painful. But my facet joints were not a main pain generator. Now, I want to ask this person who asked about the facet joints. How do you know it's actually your facet joints causing your pain? Now, here's a common problem I'm seeing. Surgeons operating on MRIs and not the person. For instance, someone has a nice big juicy disc bulge down below, let's say L4, L5. Big juicy herniation. We don't need to get all zoomed in, but you get the idea. We got L4, we got L5, okay? Someone's got a nice big herniation here, and the surgeon sees that, doesn't do an assessment. Yeah, it's a nice big juicy disc herniation that we have right there, okay, with an annular tear, and it looks really bad. And immediately they hone in on that L4, L5 disc herniation. But what they didn't pay attention to was a level above that had a smaller dynamic herniation that depending on what they did, it would completely crush the nerve exiting and cause them pain in a different dermatome than L4, L5, and they operated on what they saw in the MRI, not on what the assessment that they didn't do showed them. You understand the difference? So, I asked the question back to you, how do you know that you're suffering from facet pain? Facet pain usually comes on achy, it usually does not come on while you're sitting, it'll come on while you're standing. As the disc loses a little bit of height, the facet joints can start becoming arthritic, hypertrophic. They can start pinching the medial branch nerve back here, and you can get facetogenic pain for sure. But it almost always starts with the disc. You lose the disc height, and then the way axial load is taken on the spine is different, and then you can start getting facet pain as you lose the disc height. They start getting a mechanical collision, creating osteophytes and bone spurs. After a while, facets take the load, and then you end up with facetogenic pain instead of discogenic. I'll show you a little bit of a cascade here with this spine model from Jerome's dynamic disc designs. Check them out. So we have a spine here, and we got L5 shaped like a lemon, so we know we're facing the right way. We got L5, we got L2. Now watch what a little bit of instability does here. So what I do is I give it a little bit of torsion. All the movement is taking place here at this level, not below, not above, and look at the facets. They start to take wear and tear side to side, lateral, lateral shear, extension, flexion, torsion, and then as that disc flattens, the facets start to become worn down and cranky, and they end up at times looking like this on an MRI. See 'em lit up and big, and they can start causing you pain, but it almost always starts with a disc, an end plate going, a, um, end plate going, fall of some sort, some instability, and then it starts the cascade of disc bulge, and then systemic and the vertebral body, and it just kinda goes from there. But I personally would not say that facet pain was the main pain generator for me, although my facets did have some facet effusions and a little bit of arthritis just because of my loss of disc height. If you refer back to the MR that I showed earlier, as I lost disc height, my facets started to take more axial load and then more extension. Every once in a while, I get a little bit of a tension to extension, but extension was not my main pain. Pretty much for facetogen pain, we gotta do a test to see extension, rotation, some different things. If it causes your pain, if we can take it away with some different stiffening, it might be disc and facet, or it might just be facet, or maybe, you've got some stress strain reversals in the pars. It could be a number of different things, that could be going on. So, Brian, what should be the intensity for the big 3? Is it different if I'm only doing the big 3, if I'm doing other stuff as well, like pushes and pulls, 2 months in? Well, what should the intensity be for the big 3? Well, are you a lifter? Are you a back injured person? Are you trying to get back to Uh, powerlifting, I see pushes and pulls, but that could be, pulling a car, pushing a car, pulling a sled, pushing a sled. It could be overhead pressing, it could be deadlifting, just unlimited, different things that we can be looking at. Um, the intensity for the big 3 is a very, nebulous question. I suggest starting with back mechanic and seeing how we evolve things in gift of injury and build out more difficult things like suitcase carries, goblet squats, those types of things over time. But, when you're in the big 3, if I'm doing other stuff as well, like push and pull, so I don't know what kind of push and pulls are you doing? Are you pressing? Are you deadlifting? 2 months into back mechanic? Are you 2 months into back injury? Are you 2 months into back recovery? Um, it might be a good idea to book an assessment or a consult with me at powerrackstrength.com, and I can help maybe walk you through this a little bit and have more context, but it's hard for me to say without knowing anything about you and what your goals are. What's your injury? Are you even injured? What are your deficits? What are your weak points? Are you a boy or you're a girl? You're a female. Um, you have other injuries you're dealing with. There's a lot of different things that we have to consider, and, it's important that we do an assessment, and I don't just rattle off, random, things that, may end up working against you. Without an assessment, it's hard for me to say, but starting with the reverse Russian pyramid in back mechanic, once again, we have back mechanic on sale, 44.95. The video enhanced version, which is worth its weight in gold, 100% recommend that you check that out. And, we have a new video that drops tomorrow, 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Saturday, 12 a.m., and, this video is about Bulgarian split squats. Are they good for you? Are they worth it? Are they gonna cause your back pain? Are they good for your back? Thursday, we dropped part 2 of Lane Norton, me working with Lane Norton, Professor McGill working with Lane Norton. Professor McGill and I helping Lane Norton rebuild and fix his squat and fix his deadlift and fix his posture, fix his training programming, and fix his approach and stiffness. He had no core. His coach was having him do a bunch of bendy, twisty stuff like he was a ballerina. So we got him away from doing that, stiffened him up, and then, got him pain-free back to lifting and then turned him back over to his coach. What other questions do we have? I'm gonna answer another question or 2. Don't be scared, don't be shy. I'm not gonna yell at you, um, for, asking me a question. If I can't answer it, I'll just tell you, I can't answer. Got a couple coming in. Alright, how do you get free copies of 1020 Live? I'm gonna give out 2 free copies of 1020 Live. What you have to do, you have to be a customer that's already been in our system. That way we have your address already in the system. So that's number 1 qualification. And you have to email Bristol at poweractstrength.com. Only giving away 2 free books. And if you want me to sign them, I'll sign them, but put in the subject, signed book by Brian. And then you have to name my best squats of all time in each weight class and which are the all-time world records. The first to do that. First 2 to do this, Bristol at poweractstrength.com will get a free 1020 Live book. What years and what was the number and what was the weight class and what city was it in? Number, lifted, weight class, city, date. What were those 4 things? And then the first 2 people to do that, Bristol at poweractstrength.com will get a free book sent to you at no cost, and I'll even sign it for you, but put "Signed by Brian" in the subject. 1020 Live signed by Brian. Was a lifter for 4 years, back pain for a year and a half. By intensity, I mean how close to failure. You should not be going to failure on the big 3. And, if you've had back pain for a year and a half, you need to shut down the push-pulls and get rid of those things, and you need to start over and make sure you're moving well, not picking the scab. Go through back mechanics, start with the big 3, wind down your pain. Do you still have pain? Uh, and what are we talking about, um, with, how much pain were you in? You know, lived here for 4 years. What kind of back injury, though? That's the thing, like, back pain is so nebulous. Like, back pain could be because I walk over and punch Bristol in the middle of the back, and she, like, has an ache, or it could be back pain, um, from picking up a big rock and rounding over and blowing out an implant. Like, there's different types of pain and injury. Um, so anyway, I mean, only the stuff mentioned in back. So we need to go through, and you might be doing these wrong. There's so many people out there that do the big 3 wrong, and they'd be better off not doing the big 3 at all and just doing some planks or something else, but you can do the big 3 right for your injury, your goals, and your limitations, okay? You can hit me up, Brian at poweractstrength.com. I can help you build a plan, do an assessment, do a consultation, even do custom, programs for you, but I need to talk to you and understand what's going on with your back and what your goals are. Hi, Brian. Greetings from Mexico. Don't you miss the fire of crushing weights and competing? No, not even a little bit. I don't miss it. I did it for 21 years straight. It was my complete world for that time, and I do not miss, uh, doing all that stuff. I don't even like going to powerlifting meets, and I know that might sound weird to people, but I have no desire to do any of that stuff at all. I don't miss the fire because the fire, burnt me out, no pun intended. The drive that I had for so long is exhaustive for myself, it's exhausting for myself, it's exhausting for everyone around me, and now I have children to raise, I need to be healthy, I need to be around for a while, and, my time is come and gone, and let's let these young crazy people, um, push the next, level of limits. Hey, Brian, doing the bird dog. It feels great. Side plank and curl up present a little bit of pain. Form feels like it's fine. Should I brace harder or brace less? Uh, that's a rhetorical question. Should I brace harder or brace less? Tune it. Make sure you're lined up and stacked. Make sure you're stiffened before you come up. Those are a couple different things to consider there. It's all about positioning, form. Don't over stiffen, but don't over stiffen. And you might need to go back to the reduced variation of that, maybe from the knees, if you're on the sides of the feet. But tuning the brace is something that we talk about in gift of injury, in back mechanic. And it's not about bracing as hard as you can, it's about tune bracing. I can't tell you how many people I've had virtual consults with, and then when they come here for an in-person assessment, when they're doing better and they wanna, get under the bar with me or further dive into their history, they don't know how to brace. They literally don't understand how to push their obliques out laterally, stiffen, or they overbrace for everything. Those are key differences there. So anyway, those are thoughts there. Um, a disc bulge, sciatica, now no longer acute. Deadlifted too much, L5S1. I'm too used to training hard, so that's why I'm asking the intensity. I'm doing the form exactly like on your channel. Well, that's subjective. Like, it's no disrespect to you, but a lot of people say that I'm doing the big 3, like, perfectly, and I can count on, one hand how many people that have been doing the big 3, have watched my videos, come here and demonstrate the big 3, and are actually doing them precisely the way they should be doing them. So, I'm not discounting your ability to do the big 3, but very rarely is someone actually doing the big 3. Go back and watch the video that we dropped on Thursday with Lane Norton, and watch the cues that Stu gives Lane. Lane goes down, he's doing a bird dog, and he comes back, and Stu says, "Okay, when are you gonna start doing a bird dog?" That wasn't it. It's about stiffening, pushing the earth away, hardening up everything in a half X across the body, from the shoulder and the rhomboid across to the the quadratus lumborum and erector spinae and the glute, driving the heel back. Then the other side, when you come to the other side. So, you gotta back off the intensity. It sounds like you're one of those overdoers, overcorrectors. So, I'm glad that you're getting some sciatic relief, but, it's not about doing as much as you can. It's about doing enough to be better, not as much as possible. So, I have a feeling that you might be doing too much intensity with all the things that you're doing, and you could over stiffen too with the big 3. That's another thing. Your form might be good, but you might be over or under stiffening. These are all things that we gotta discuss and need nuance, okay? We need nuance with that. So, that's why you're asking about intensity. Well, what's intense? Intense for me was a 1,300 pound squat, 1,306 pound squat. That was intense. The feeling of getting out of that was intense to me. But when I put 315 on the bar, that was not intense. Someone else, I put 315 on someone else, and that is way beyond, their level of, utmost intensity. So intensity is relative too. So, you shouldn't be going to failure, but it should push you. So these are nuanced conversations. Would you, what would your approach be for someone who seems to have triggers with posterior shear forces when the erectors turn on? What's the average time it takes to heal a herniated disc of L4, L5 with going to PT? Um, what would your approach be for someone who seems to have triggers from posterior shear forces when the erectors turn? Well, My approach would be to assess them to see if they have triggers, posterior shear force, then I would know. So that's the answer to the question. It's not what you wanted to hear, but you need to that's how I would know. I would approach it, and I'd give someone a shear test, a lateral shear, a posterior shear on their spinous processes, get them to stiffen, get them to change their muscle tone. There's all kinds of different things that we would do, to play with that. And sometimes they need to stiffen the erectors and latissimus dorsi to get rid of the shear instability. Or they don't do well with shear at all, and stiffing hurts them more. So everyone's unique. So, when the erectors turn on, I'd have to examine you, and I'm not sure exactly what you mean, by, the erectors turning on triggers the posterior shear force. Gotta make sure we're talking about the same things. But I'd give them a few different instability tests with shear, lateral shear, posterior shear on the table, some of the things you see on our YouTube channel. If you haven't liked this video on Brian Carroll 1306 YouTube, you haven't shared it, you haven't dropped a comment, dropped a message, please do that, and I'll continue to do these live streams and give you my time and help you the best that I can. I'm gonna try to do these, on Friday. But all things Brian Carroll, go to powerxstrength.com. What's the average time it takes to heal a herniated disc of L4, L5 with going to PT? The average outcome is never when going to PT, because what is physical therapy? It's a cookie cutter typically, and what kind of herniated disc do you have in L4, L5? Well, luckily, we have an L4, L5 right here, and, you have a flattened disc with a posterior bulge. Is your nerve root impacted? Is the thecal sac indented by the disc herniation? As we see, disc herniation can be dynamic in nature. A little bit of compression, we got a little bit of bulging there, then we add some flexion, and then we got a really juicy disc herniation there or annular fissure, and then we go back to extension, provoke it too, but then we give it a little bit of distraction or traction, and it can vacuum back in, so it's dynamic. So depending on what type of injury you have, sometimes you can get lucky and vacuum back in. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 years of spinning your wheels at physical therapy. But you have to get an assessment to understand if that's actually causing your pain at L4, at L5, and what you're doing at PT. I have 0 faith in physical therapists, their ability to fix backs. That doesn't mean that none exist. I just don't have faith until I meet one and see them do a 3 or 4-hour assessment with someone, then determine which exercises they would do. So your the success rate is about 0, with that. 40 years old training jujitsu, had L4, L5 bulge, lost some quad strength, back to rolling hard. What exercise should I focus on to re-strengthen everything? You need to do an assessment and, L4, L5 quad strength. Okay, so maybe your L4 root was, impacted, and, we need an assessment, and, I need to spend some time with you and understand that. So, what exercises should I be focusing on to re-strengthen everything? We gotta remove the cause, make sure that you're still not getting some nerve friction or impingement, and then rebuild you from the ground up. That is the key. It's not just about me giving you just a couple exercises to get you back to rolling again. There's a process we have to build more resilient and, slowly build up injury capacity. But 40, you're not gonna heal quite as fast as someone who's 20, so, you might have to get off the mats, uh, for a bit, and, you gotta remove the cause and let that bulge stiffen and heal. Where is it bulging at? Is it central, paracentral, lateral, far lateral? Uh, is it even causing your pain? Can you educate me on why someone's back pain gets worse throughout the day and in the morning doesn't hurt much, even when they're often decompressing through the day and also walking hurts? You read back again and get educated on that. If you're wanting me to give you a full education, I suggest grabbing back mechanics, here, the video enhanced version, you get a full education there. But in short, someone's back pain is unique. So depending on what they do, it might worsen through the day or it might be their bed. There's so many different variables, and that's why there's no such thing as just a disc bulge or disc herniation or degenerative disc disease. Very it's all very specific, and we have to get down to the root cause. So even if they're often decompressing throughout the day and also walking hurt, the decompression isn't for everyone. If you have instability here, look at that instability, and then I decompress you, you're gonna get more instability, and that's not gonna be good. So decompression is not for everyone. You need a specific assessment to understand what causes your pain, avoid those triggers, and why you're winding up at these different times. That is and also walking hurts. Sounds like a depression issue there, but we need to do an assessment. What could be the option for someone like me, a student living in a third world country? Consultation, unfortunately, way too expensive for me. Um, get back mechanic and get gift of injury, and that can be your roadmap to doing that. That can be your roadmap. That could be your way of doing it. So, yeah. So getting a virtual consultation can be helpful, but reading back mechanic and gift of injury and getting the video enhanced version. And then the last question that we have, unless we have one more coming in, I'll take one more question, is what is more painful? Fecal sac indentation, herniation, lateral generally? I'll pose a question back to you. What hurts more, getting hit with a wooden baseball bat or an aluminum baseball bat? It really just depends. There's no way to answer that. How long is a piece of string? Which one are we talking about? You understand what I mean by that? Both can be debilitating, crippling, and extremely painful. Any good strengthening exercise for someone with the extension-specific intolerance. Eliminate the extension and then do an assessment. Um, it's not about strengthening exercises for someone with extension-specific intolerance. Are you facetogenic pain, discogenic pain, a little bit of both? There is no just exercise to give you that's gonna take care of your extension intolerance. Are your facets cranked up? What's your MRI say? Your facets cranky like this? They grinding on each other, they no longer have that nice juicy disc or cushion to go back into extension? So again, strengthening exercises are relative, uh, and will be contingent upon the type of injury that we're dealing with, and there's a million different ways to injure the spine and the tissues, and a lot of the time, there's more than one pain generator. So, um, I think that, covered everything. A lot of these are nuanced, and a lot of these, frankly, you guys are gonna have to read the books, dig in deeper. Some of you, if you wanna work with me, I'll gladly work with you. Um, and we can sort through your MRI. We can sort through your goals, but I can't make you any promises of, recovery. But, I like coming on here and answering your questions, doing my best to help you. But remember, I need to see you. I can't just give you a question or an answer to a question super specific, without assessing you, seeing your MRIs, watching you move. And remember, those of you out there considering getting a back surgery, your surgeon has talked about in the beginning of back mechanics. Your surgeon needs to prove he can take his scalpel and cut out your pain. Otherwise, you need to find another surgeon. You don't know how many times I have a client that comes in here with multiple microdissectomies because they operated on the level that looked the worst but was not generating pain. Your surgeon needs to know the difference between a scar and a painful wound. Once again, Brian Carroll, 1306. Coming to you live every Friday when I can, hopefully next week. For all things Brian Carroll, go to powerxstrength.com. Use code YT1306 to get 20% off our CBD products so you can reduce some inflammation, feel better. You will not fail a drug test. Zero THC in our products. We got a new video that drops tomorrow on Bulgarian split squats. We have new custom programs that I make for you. You fill out the intake form, I watch your videos, I build you a program, I do assessments in person, consultations via video, Google Meet, and I will see you guys very soon. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.